want to ask it at the seminar. So I'll answer those questions. And then what we usually do is break you up so that you can actually work with the pros on some of your posing. Because it's funny, we were just talking about this last night. I don't think competitors, and I don't care who you are, because I just did I just had judged the men's pro down in LA last weekend. Even the pros sometimes do not put enough emphasis on the posing. The posing is what's going to make or break you on that day. You've done all that work, you've done all the training, all the dieting, everything that you sacrificed, and then people don't spend enough time actually doing the posing, and that really, really plays a big part. Okay, so we're going to go through some of that, like I said, and then you'll break up, and you can just kind of go to one of the pros that maybe you follow in the magazine or on the internet and stuff, and they'll help you. Just give you some tips to help you tomorrow. So having said that, questions. Anybody have a question that, again, I don't care whether it's suit, hair, makeup, posing, how do I qualify for, the national level shows, how long, anything? Nobody has any questions? Okay, one thing that came up on the internet, and I get it all the time, is what qualifies you to go on to that next level. Because in the NPC, we have 6 national shows, and even though the first 2 are called a Junior USA, which is actually happening this weekend in Charleston, and the next one is the Junior Nationals, they're not an age show though. They're a quality show. They just started out like that because they're the first entry-level national shows. Like I said, if you just had levels like quality-wise, so the Junior USA would be like your first entry level, Junior National second. Now again, nobody has to go through them, but that's kind of where the name came from, because a lot of people think maybe it's an age-related contest, and it's not. It's just an entry-level show, an entry-level contest into the nationals. And then we have our USA, we have our Team Master Collegiate in July, we have our Team U, and then we have our North American. And North American is still, it's not really a national show because it's an IFBB show, but it brings athletes from both Mexico, from Canada, and from the States. But again, pro cards are given out there in all the open divisions, and I think they do the pro cards up to the 55 divisions. So, I mean, there's a lot of places to compete at, and there's a lot of places that give you the opportunity to get your pro card. Once you qualify, everything that we do in the NPC, including your NPC card, it's a calendar year. Because that's another thing. People think if they qualify, like in April, their qualification, because it says on the internet that it's good for 1 year. It is, but everything is a calendar year, and we don't count the first year that you qualify it. So if you actually qualify earlier in 2015, we don't count 2015. So you're good for all of 2016. Okay? So again, but the thing is, the top 5 will take you to the Junior USA and Junior Nationals. Remember I said those are those entry-level shows for the nationals? Top 3 will take you to all of the national shows. Junior USA, Junior Nationals, everything. Does that make? And like I said, you're good for the whole year, just like when you buy your NPC card. It's good from a January 1st to December 31st. Everything in our organization is a calendar year. Because like I said, a lot of times I get questions that, somebody competed in April and the Junior USA or Junior Nationals is in May and June, and they think that their qualifications ended, but you're good for that whole calendar year.
What's the sequence for men's physique? I know the past when I've been up here, you guys have brought out, say, 10 guys. We do front and back, and then we come back out and do our individuals.
Yeah. Again, there's not a lot of shows. I just like doing that because from the judging standpoint, it gives the judges an idea of what the whole quality of the show is going to be, rather than, I can do it, I can do it either way, and I do it all the time. But it's nice as a judge to know what the overall quality is, so that when that first person comes out individually, I kind of know in my mind what the level is at the show that I'm judging, and it gives me a better perspective, of the athletes. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We'll bring you out in a lineup, and again, depending on how big the classes are, some of them will break you up. Like anything probably over 9 or 10, we'll split you up, Come out, front and backs, go off, come out individually, stay on stage, and then do the comparisons. And that's another thing. I often get asked about doing, how we decide who's going to, get called out in those first couple call outs. It's the judging panel, whether in the NPC, we always use an odd number of judges, okay? That way there cannot be a mathematical tie. So we always use, like I said, some of the smallest shows there'll be 5 judges, some there's 7. No matter with the shows, we always drop out 1 high and 1 low for 5 and 7 judges. When you get to 9 judges, we drop out 2 highs and lows. So somebody feels like one of the judges doesn't like them, doesn't matter. They're 2 highs, 2 lows get knocked out. When we at the national shows, we always use either 11 or 13. We drop out 3 highs and lows. So we're always adding up only 5 judges. And this way, it's just, you know, what the average of the panel wants. You know what I mean? The judges that are at the extremes are going to get knocked out, you know, one way or the other. But when we're doing that after everybody gets done, and we're going to call out, make our first couple comparisons. How we do that is by all the judges just pass in their top 5, and the majority, whatever athlete gets those majority of those judges, that's who we kind of call out. So it's, you know, it's a consensus from the panel, not from like just one person. Like have all these people looking at me. So no questions about suits and makeups and hairs.
I'll ask, what suit color translate best on stage? I know with the lights that wash it out.
Well, it does, and I think I've said this ever since I started judging. I like the actual color of the suit. You need something that's going to go with your overall coloring, but I don't care what color it is. I would always go with, and again, it's not like the hard and fast rule, but in general, I would always go with the deeper colors, because the deeper colors, no matter what color it is going to be more of a contrast with your skin tone, and it's going to, even though in the bright lights, because some stages will be a lot brighter than other stages, even in the brightest stage, it's still not going to wash you out as much. And if you have a really good suit, don't change it. Just wear the same suit. Nobody's going to know. This is not like clothes. But I'm serious, because it costs a lot of money, especially when you're just starting into the sport. People spend a lot of money on suits, and again, sometimes you end up spending a lot of money, and then because it's your first or second contest, and you do have a wrong cut of a suit, and judges will say, judges will give you that feedback, and then you do need to change it. But if you've got a really nice suit cut that fits your body, and nobody has said to you, oh, you know what I mean, wrong color, wrong cut or something, wear it. Nobody is going to remember, sorry, not going to, and there's no reason. The only reason you want to really change a suit is when it detracts from your body. Your body your suit is not going to, if you have a good body, you're going to get noticed, first of all, no matter what the suit looks like. So I think sometimes we put a little bit too much emphasis in that. You don't need to. Is anybody questions? Anybody?
First question, girls. I know you guys have it.
What about the stage tomorrow? Where's it like, the stage?
The stage is we just did this. It's gonna, if anybody has competed here before and we've used the ballroom, if you're the audience, and we've always come from the right side. Tomorrow it's gonna be the opposite though. You will pump up on the right, go behind the stage, and come out on the left. Yes. And apparently the only thing we do ask you is to be really careful with the dyes tomorrow. I mean, they'll have everything taped up, but the theater that we're using right across the street, it's really a pretty community theater. So just be really, conscious of the coloring.
They will not let you in the auditorium if you're not covered up. So if you're done competing, you want to come out and watch the show, you will not be able to if you're not covered up.
So wear something like sweats or your... Anybody have anything?
Is it possible to have too long of hair?
What are you competing in?
Bikini.
No. Well, I'm not looking. I'm not looking for. Yeah, I'm not looking for muscle in bikini. Yeah, I'm not looking for muscle. I mean, again, you want it to be, look good on you, and you want it to be styled and stuff. But I don't need people to take their hair away from them and stuff. With bikini, I think what hurts you more, and we'll go over it, it's the posing, because people tend to bring their arms back, and it just makes you real narrow. And the problem is because, listen, I need a bikini, I don't care who it is. Nicole, get up here, I don't care. Okay? But I mean, again, seriously, in bikini, people forget this, okay? So just, you do your front, because the front's never the issue. And again, you want to look up, there's enough YouTube stuff on the internet these days. You're going to look at different people. Pick out things that you like, but pick out things that you are going to feel comfortable with and you think highlights your body the best. okay? Because some girls can go on stage and they have a lot of stage presence and charisma, and they feel comfortable doing, like Amanda Latona is one. India's like that, okay? There's other girls that are a little bit more there. They don't feel as, I mean, their personality is just not that flair on stage. If it's not what your personality is, it's going to come across like that. So you want to get something that you feel comfortable with. And again, if you're first-time competitors, or even the second, third, the more shows you do, that will come. You'll come into your own personality and what makes you, don't you think? You will. After a while, in the beginning, you're going to think of every little thing that you're doing up there. But after a couple times competing, that will all become subconscious, and your confidence, and you'll feel better, and you'll get your own little style. But the biggest thing, I think, is first time, people new into the sport do, is they're trying to emulate some of the pros that they watch on TV and stuff, but yet it's not their personality. And I think that comes across more than anything. Okay, so now, let's get to the back pose. Okay, now, don't forget, judges are sitting down there, okay? We are looking up. So, I'm actually going to put you up just a little bit. You don't want to bend forward. It is arch in the back and sticking out the butt. But that's what it is. Because if you bend over, the wider part of your body, I'm sorry, on most women, is going to be your back end. And now we're lower than you. That's the first thing we see. It's just, but that is what I can't tell you how many girls do that. I'm a girl, I know why we're doing it. When you're doing photo shoots, that's fine. Because the guys, whoever's doing the photography, is doing you usually like Shem is, straight on. But from a judging standpoint, it's distorting the shape of your body, because then girls pull their shoulders back. So now I have this tiny little narrow upper body, and I'm not looking for thickness here, but we still want to see a little bit of width up here, okay? And your butt is wider now. You know what I mean? Just compared to your upper body. So I think that's the hardest thing to get competitors. Again, as you age, if you're not tight enough back there, bending over I'm serious, doesn't help. First of all, it says to the judge, okay, she already knows that she's not tight enough back there, and now she's telling me that she's not tight enough back there. But it also, seriously, I don't know what to call it, it's just the illusion when we're sitting down, it distorts the athlete. Because I've done this with girls. I've seen them on stage, they bend too much, and then I've gotten them to pose, because we have more time up north at some of the shows, and then I go down and I say to the judges, what? And they're like, oh my God. Yeah, she's still a little bit loose, but it doesn't look as wide, and she's got some width to her upper body. Like I said, nobody's looking for depth on bikini, but you still don't want to be these tiny, narrow shoulders and wider in the hip area. Does that make sense? But it's hard if that's the way you've been practicing. So seriously, you don't want to bend down on the stage. You want to stay up, arch the back, and stick out the glutes. Anybody? I got I mean, okay, sorry.
It really helps if you work
But
on
seriously.
flexibility too. That's one of the things that if you work on
Yeah.
your flexibility, especially when you're working in your off season or as you're getting ready for the show, it'll make your posing look so much better, because a lot of times the reason people are bending is because they don't have the flexibility to really arch hard. So I really recommend, and I give everybody a series of stretches that I like them to do, but it's all about being able to arch and twist, because otherwise you're going to look really uncomfortable on stage. And like Sandy's saying, what I see people do sometimes in a front pose is pushing a shoulder way back or something. Now all of a sudden you've become, like she said, narrow, and you want an hourglass. It's not just the bottom half, it needs to be the whole thing. So you don't want that shoulder to go way back because you're trying to twist, and you're twisting from the shoulders instead of from the waist. You want to be able to stay in place.
One of the things that I recommend to open up that lower back is grabbing one of those foam rollers and just laying over it just for a couple of minutes. And then obviously releasing it and then laying, it'll just continuously open up that back. So that's another thing that you could use.
Yes.
Like I practice two back poses, is it best to just stick to one? Or
Well, you know what? It kind of depends. In the amateurs, some of the shows, again, I don't think we're going to be super pressed for time tomorrow, so you'll probably be able to get two in. I will tell you, once you get like to the national shows, I was just at the Emerald Cup, though they had like 600 athletes. You know, we had a lot more at the Governor's Cup and at the SAC. Then they're going to tell you, like, they time you like 10 seconds, you know what I mean? So then I would just stick with the front pose that looks your best. Because don't forget, when you're doing your individual, and this goes to anything, with your women's physique, bodybuilding, men's physique, don't forget, when you've got that, you're coming out individually, this is your time. Just like when bodybuilders in the beginning, that 60-second routine was what they wanted to do. You're going to show us how your body looks the best in your mind. When we call you back to do the comparisons, we're going to control it. Because a lot of times, especially a lot of times in men's physique, you'll hear, because again, we were just talking about how competitive some of the divisions have gotten, and men's physique right now is probably one of the, is right up there. It's one of the, is really competitive, and so a lot of the times, especially with those top 5 or 6 guys, especially like at national shows, and probably here again tomorrow, is you're going to get whoever's head judging is finally going to say, no twisting, just face forward. Because it's that close to some, the athletes, I need to see, the judges need to see you straight on. You know what I mean? So that couple seconds that you have by yourself, that's your time to show the judges what you think you look, looks your